Hi, I'm Rob Boyd, an English photographer from the UK. I decided to create this podcast series talking to international photographers whose work I truly love. I realised I knew nothing about these amazing people apart from their names and their stunning work. So I created a set of hopefully entertaining questions that finds out who they are and what they love. Hi Michael, nice to see you here. Thanks for being here, my friend.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, Rob. This is very exciting.
Yeah, good stuff. So if you can start by your name and your Instagram name, that'd be brilliant, mate.
Yeah, so I'm Michael Wilson, and my Instagram name is Atticus Photo, which is Atikus Photo. Came from like a computer game character that I used to like when I was younger, and I used to be a contract designer, and my company that I started up for tax reasons was Atticus Design, and so I thought move over to photo, Atticus Photo, kept it as that sort of my sort of other profile.
Yeah. No, excellent. Because it's like you see people's Instagram names and you think, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah. Mine is like a teenage character that I've always just loved, and it just sort of stuck with me. It's probably a bit juvenile these days, but I quite like it as an alter ego.
No. It's historic. That's the word. Perfect. So, have you got a website?
I have, yeah. So, similar to my Instagram profile, it's atticusphoto.co.uk, Atikus photo.co.uk. I actually use a platform, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Exposure, which back when I was a designer, another friend of mine started the platform, and it was literally to tell photo stories. So it was actually perfect for my needs. And because I knew him, he sort of got me started as like a beta user profile. So I got a really good deal on it, but it's perfect for, you basically just upload all the photos you want, but you can also add details like content and write about it. So I tend to post when I do travel. I'll try and sort of tell the story of my trip. But I'm also more recently trying to teach a bit more about what I look for in a photo. So I've been using the website for that. But I do need to post more. I think I sort of have spits of inspiration, and then I'll do a few posts in over a couple of weeks, and then it will go a bit slow from there. But I do need to sort of carry on with posting a bit more. So I need to get back into it. But yeah, there is every now and again I'll sort of post some themes of photos that fit together and what I was looking for on those photos.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, you know what it's like. We're all like that. There's certain points where you're so busy, you just can't fit everything in, and you've got to be inspired to do it. Otherwise, it's going to come out really boring.
Yeah, definitely.
So, where do you live?
So I'm in East Dulwich, which is southeast London, very near Peckham. So it's a very, like, there's so much texture in the area. I'm in sort of the area where seemingly if you have kids, everyone moves into East Dulwich, and then it's sort of the trendier area just a bit outside of East Dulwich is Peckham. So there's always sort of loads of food places opening up, lots of interesting characters around. So I do quite like it around here. It seems like there's always a lot going on. It's nice to be able to just go out and have a camera with me, and you never know what you're going to see. So it's quite nice to be inspired by your local area as well as having to sort of go into central London to take photos.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's amazing how things change, like Notting Hill years ago, Peckham years ago, areas that you think, oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah, unrecognisable.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
It changes. Yeah, good. So where are you from? Where are you from originally?
So I was actually born in Islington. So my dad was a prison officer, so he used to work in Pentonville Prison, around the corner from Islington. So I was born there, but as a baby we moved to Reading. So I actually grew up in Reading, but again, Reading is so close and easy to get to London. It felt like sort of getting in and out of London as I was growing up. I think Reading probably wasn't the most interesting of places as I was growing up, so it was more in and out of London quite regularly. So I've always been quite used to London and sort of the busy way of life there. So yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I grew up in Tarlis, so it was one of those outskirts kind of places in Reading. It was and then eventually you end up when your first house down on the Oxford Road on the main dodgy end of what you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
see.
of course, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, my dad's still there, so I still go back semi-regularly. And growing up, I was a Reading football fan, so I still follow them. So I'm still there.
Yeah. Well, we live around the corner from the old Elm Park, the original football stadium. We were literally around. So they used to, yeah, they used to push over the cars and all that crap, on a Saturday when they lost or whatever. So, yeah, right mad. But I don't recognise the place now. My brother's still there, my dad's still there, but I don't really recognise it that much. And like you say, it's not the most exciting place in the world. I was born there, but it was,
Yeah, it's very much a commuter belt. I think people move there to work in London. Seems to be what the why you go to Reading.
yeah, get the London waiting, but without the,
Yeah, 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 without
without the
the high
London bit.
rents.
Exactly. Yeah, good stuff. So if I visited you, where would you take me to shoot?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I'm very close to London, so the you'd probably expect me to say central London, but actually I think Peckham is an incredible place to take street photography, and I don't think many people go there. And like I said, like Peckham's got so much texture that it's really multicultural. So there's so many different like styles of places to see. There's so many interesting characters around. It's always like, I mean, as part of taking photos, good coffee, good food. So there's always good places to sort of stop off in between. So I do actually think Peckham is quite a cool, unknown part of London that you can take really great street photos in. Also, on top of that, I think if I was thinking sort of my favourite place to shoot in London is the Barbican. I think it's honestly one of the best places in the world. Growing up, I remember a friend of mine who was really into brutalist architecture, and he loved the Barbican. And I was like, it's horrible to look at. It's this big concrete block. How is that a cool place? But I think since being into street photography and going a visit, it's so interesting. There's so many like tunnels of light, and again, it's really busy during the week as well. So there's so many people around, and I think like if ever I started doing like photography workshops, I think the Barbican would be the place to be, just because it's great in like whatever the weather. It's brilliant because the tunnels mean even if the sun isn't out, there is directional light. There's so much texture around. Even if it was rainy, you can go inside, and the Barbican Centre is really cool. And I think the Barbican is just, I'm very privileged to have that close by and to be able to go and sort of try and find new compositions, because it just seems really architecturally so diverse and really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when I've been there, there was a music video being shot there, and they had drones, and they were using the everything around it. I've been before where, like you say, the light's been perfect, or the light's been dull, but there's always something, yeah. And Becky Stacey, she's a brutalist, she loves that kind of architecture. Who's been on the podcast before, and she kind of pointed me in little corners that I've never seen before. So yeah, no, totally agree. As for Peckham though, that sounds cool. That sounds really good, because you always end up in Brick Lane or somewhere like that. But go east. But no, that sounds like a good shout.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always sort of the main haunts that most people think of in central London, but I think definitely southeast, or there's just so much culture and so many interesting people to see, and it's definitely worth a visit.
Yeah, cool. So I normally ask, are there any places to visit as a tourist, but I've named so many so far. And
I was actually going to say the other part I really love, and especially touristy, is if I'm really struggling for what I want to do, my sort of go-to is I'll get a train to London Bridge, I'll walk along South Bank to sort of Waterloo, get a lot over the bridge at Waterloo, and then sort of go towards Soho. And that route, I think, it's sort of my happy place. So there's so much going on that if the weather's good, everyone's very happy because you by the water, the sun's out. There's just so much variety, and how different sort of London Bridge is to Waterloo and then to Soho. It just feels it's a very probably it's an hour walk, I suppose, if you're taking your time. But yeah, that is a very great like that would be my sort of go-to route if ever I'm struggling for a new place to find. I'll just go to sort of the route that I like, well trodden on, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because when I come in and do my 8 hours or whatever, I normally go Canary Wharf, east, do the same as you, do London, do tap, go to the bridge, go over, come back again into there, and then walk down to Kensington, not Kensington, but kind of Mayfair and all that area, and then do like a huge kind of loop. So yeah, no, brilliant. Yeah, excellent stuff. So right, what's your favourite destination in the world? Where do you like the most?
This is an odd one. I've just got back from San Sebastian, which was the third time I've been to San Sebastian. So it's a Basque region in Spain. It borders France. So Biarritz is literally swimming distance from San Sebastian, and it's just the way of life there. It's incredible. So obviously Spain is known for tapas, but the Basque region is known for pintos, which is basically food on bread. But it means that you go into bars and the food is all out, just displayed, ready to eat effectively. So you just go in, you have it's like €2, you have your bit of bread and you have like some incredible prawns and some pate on it. You have a nice little beer and you move on and do the next one. And it's just a very nice way of life. It's just, it very, very much suits me. But on top of that, it's obviously beautiful weather. It's a really, like the architecture and the city design means that everything's in blocks. And so for what I tend to look for in street photography, when the light's out, it means you get these incredible directional light. And because it's quite old as well, you get a lot of texture that comes out of the buildings. And it's just really beautiful. And it just feels like I'd go out on this last trip. I tend to try and go up when I'm away. I tend to try and get up at sort of sunrise and go and see the place when it's a bit quiet. People are just heading out, but also the light's great. And it's one of those where I was just sort of a bit overawed with how much I wanted to shoot. I couldn't sort of decide what to shoot. And yeah, it's just brilliant. And also the other thing is, because it's quite a well-to-do area, you get all these incredibly dressed older people in San Sebastian. So there's always so many interesting people to make the subject for the photos as well. So yeah, not only is it's a great place to holiday and a great place to eat incredible food, but yeah, in terms of like street photography, it just feels like there's so many opportunities and just so much to see. Yeah, definitely a high recommendation for that.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. And the thing with these shots as well, I mean, you had so many wide shots as well. You could get the light obviously incredible. You can get some real dark shadows and stuff from the stuff that I've seen recently. But you can open up wide as well and get a lot of the like say the buildings and you can see the structure and the straight lines and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I tend to try and my general is like a 50mm, quite a long focal length. But in San Sebastian, I actually took my Ricoh GR3X, which is a 40mm, and I think that really helped because, like you say, you've got those long leading lines, and you can really open up wider and sort of use that to your advantage. So it was really great.
Yeah, definitely made the most of it. It's great. Yeah, excellent, good stuff. Brilliant. So, where would you like to go? What's on your bucket list places to visit?
Definitely Japan. I think a lot of street photographers say that, but just everything. The only reason I haven't been to Japan is because I want to go so much. I feel like I need to do it perfectly, and so I haven't had the opportunity to have enough time to really do it perfectly. But just Japanese culture is just everything for me. Like the food again is just incredible. The design of everything, just Japanese aesthetic just really is what I look for, and I just love even like their graphics and just their symbols for their language as well. It just everything just really evokes incredible like emotion for me, and I also love that mix of modern and history that Japan has. So you've got this like old way of life in certain small towns, but then you've got these mega cities that are just crazy tech, and you've got all these neon lights, and I just think Japan is very much on my bucket list. We're very close to starting to be like, we need to plan this trip perfectly now. And we went to Southeast Asia for our honeymoon a few years ago, and I think we're now ready to go back to Asia and sort of do that bit. So I think hopefully in the next year or so, Japan will be ticked off. But yeah, that's very, very high on my bucket list.
Excellent. And most people tell me that have been, they either say, right, you need a good couple of weeks, or you just don't sleep and you shoot constantly.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
If you've got a short window, like a week, then you just don't sleep. You get 2 hours sleep a night and just shoot, because there's so much.
Make the most of it. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, start the week questions then. So, if you could time travel, where and when would you visit?
I actually love this question. So, uh, really recently, the 25th anniversary of In the Mood for Love was shown at the cinemas. So I went to the Prince Charles Cinema in Leicester Square, and I went to see that. And that's a Wong Kar-wai film set in 1960s Hong Kong. And in my opinion, it's the most beautiful film that's ever been made. And I think a lot of that is because of the setting of 1960s Hong Kong. Like, it's just this, a bit like I was sort of describing Peckham in a funny way. It's got this really amazing mix of, like, the buildings feel like they're falling down, but there's so much texture to them. But then you've also got these, like, beautiful neon lights, and the way people are dressed back there, just, it feels really elegant and really cool. And I just think a bit, I suppose it's also very similar to the Japanese aesthetic of what I love about the way things look. But yeah, 1960s Hong Kong, I just think it really feels like a bygone era that I just think, yeah, I'd love to see that.
I mean, yeah, time travel would be invented then, so you can
Yeah.
go and experience that for sure. Yeah, excellent. No, good choice, brilliant. So if you could photograph anyone in history, who would you shoot?
Yeah, so my favourite street photographer is Soul Lighter. So I actually think I'd take the opportunity to photograph him, mainly because I'd want to learn as much as I could from him while I was there taking photos of him, but also because I think when I look at his photos and this sort of that time in New York when he was taking photos feels like the start of what I love about street photography. And, like, obviously that a bit like 1960s Hong Kong, but sort of that the look of New York back then was incredible, and the way people dressed, I think, was just amazing. So I think I'd probably have a double whammy of learning as much as I could from Soul Lighter, but also being able to take photos in that era of New York when it seemed like a lot of street photographers were sort of starting to learn their trade and sort of change what people thought of photography. I think it was very much studio and sort of fashion photography back then, and very much black and white. But sort of Soul Lighter obviously changed a lot of people's minds with that. So I think, yeah, being able to go and spend any time with him would just be an absolute privilege.
Definitely. So tell me a fun fact or a story about yourself.
Yeah, so actually we've already talked about traveling a little bit. So I how old was I when I started? So I think I was probably about 25. I traveled to 28 different countries every month for 28 months. And it started as just, I was working one day. I worked for a design agency, and it was a Monday morning, and they said, "Oh, we've actually got a project in Berlin. Would you be able to help us out for a week and go and work in Berlin?" And I was like, "Oh, great. Yeah, I'm happy to do that." And for whatever reason, I hadn't really thought how easy it is to travel up until that point. And then I was in Berlin for a week, and I didn't know I was traveling Monday morning, and I was in Berlin that night. And I was like, "Oh, I can do this more. I'm young. I've got no sort of attachment to anything. I should do long weekends in lots of European countries because there's so much to see out there." And sort of every month I'd just sort of, long weekends. I'd take a Friday and a Monday off sometimes just the Friday, and I'd go there for sort of 3 days, experience a place, move on to the next one. And I was just like, got into a groove of doing it. And then originally the plan after a few months was I'll do a year. And then the 12th month, I went to Costa Rica for 2 weeks and sort of made a big celebration of traveling around. And then after that, I was just like, why should I stop? I just kept going. And then, it got to 28 months. I can't actually remember what the reason was that stopped it in the end. I can't remember why, but again, I got to 28. I was quite proud of that. But the other thing that is quite interesting back then is I was taking photos, and it was very much what sort of made me want to go and travel. But back then when I was taking photos, I had no people in my photos ever. I used to avoid wanting people in my photos. I was very much go take a photo of sort of buildings and architecture, and people were just a no-no for me. I was like, why would I want people to clutter my images? And I think since obviously moving over to street photography, that's a completely different way of shooting for me. And I think probably being locked in the house for a year during COVID, I think as soon as I was allowed out, I think what I'd noticed was sort of people are what make photos unique for me. And it means that I can't recreate that image again because that person won't be there in that exact moment. And so I think that's been an interesting sort of complete switch from how I used to take photos to how I take photos now. And quite an interesting journey.
Out again, because it felt like it would never happen. It felt like that it was never going to, we're always going to have to wear a mask for the rest of our lives. We're always going to have to social distance. And when it didn't happen, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is with the traveling as well, I love budget traveling. I mean, I'm happy to go in a hostel. I'm 55 years old. I'm still happy to go in a hostel with 20-year-old bloody 10 of them all throwing their rubbish around in a hostel, crap everywhere. Because you meet so many interesting people from everywhere. And because you're all together in one place, you're all on a budget, you're all kind of helping each other out. You're all kind of, giving each other tips and that kind of thing. So yeah, no, I get the travel thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also we're very lucky to be in Europe because there's so many really incredible places to go and visit, and you're never going to be in like too much danger in those areas. So it was literally pick a place on a map. That'll be cool. I'm in Luxembourg that weekend and it was amazing. So yeah, it's very nice to be able to travel around Europe.
I love that. And so another weird one. Okay. What's your favorite word?
Yeah. So I think whenever I want to tell people I really like something, I think awesome tends to be the word that I'd use to describe that. I think it's very much how I describe a lot of people's photos. It's just like, that is awesome. I think that's my go-to is showing that I like something.
Yeah, no, excellent, perfect. And because it's an international podcast, teach me a new word or a saying I may not know.
As part of being a designer for my day job, I do a lot of accessibility design, so designing things to make sure it's inclusive for as many people as possible. And there's actually a saying in the disabled community which I always find really helpful for me. So the saying is, once you've met one person with a disability, you've met one person with a disability. And they're owning that to say that don't sort of pigeonhole us. Just because you've met someone with a disability, you don't know everybody who has a disability. They've all got their own backgrounds, they've got their own needs, and they've got their own sort of preferences. And I think even like that just reminds me every day just not to treat people based on stereotypes and treat everyone as an individual. And I think that's sort of something I try to do as much as possible. Everybody's got their own unique background, their own experiences, and their own reasons for what they like and what they don't like. And it just reminds me to have an open mind whenever I'm meeting somebody, and sort of to learn their individuality and to celebrate that.
Excellent. That's great. So when did photography click for you? When did you realize you could take a good photo?
Yeah, so I've always, I probably was about 14, 15. My granddad used to take photos in a photography club when he was younger. And so that's where I sort of picked up the bug for taking photos and learning cameras. But I think for years it would be on and off. I'd lose inspiration and I'd stop, and I'd pick it up for another reason, maybe because a new camera came out that I'd buy, and then I'd pick it up and then I'd stop. But I think when it really clicked for me, I think, as I mentioned, sort of after COVID and starting to get into street photography, it then really became a passion for me, and it is just grew and grew since then, to be honest. And I think part of that is because, as I said earlier, going out and taking photos when people are involved feels like every time I go out is really unique, and I'm not just taking a photo of a building that anyone could take or I could take again, because those scenario might happen again. But as soon as it becomes different and there's so many opportunities to have a different take on street photography, that I think it just means that I've just been inspired now for sort of 3 years, and it's just only growing. It's not going away anytime soon. And I think since I've sort of solely focused on street photography, it means that I've now met loads of people who are also as passionate about street photography, such as yourself, Rob. And the community is the best part of it. So now I'm actually meeting people, and I'll go on photo walks with people, or I'll be chatting to people and sort of asking advice and finding out what they're sort of shooting. And I think that's probably another thing that's kept me interested, is actually the people behind the street photography community. And also, I find now going out is sort of a form of mindfulness for me. Like, I think going out with the camera is the only time I'm completely free from distraction. I'm not worried about my phone buzzing. I don't even need my phone on me a lot of the time. I'll just keep it in my bag, and I'm just completely in the zone. And I feel like I'm really noticing people when I'm taking photos, which I wouldn't normally if I'm just walking the street without a camera. And so, yeah, it's just been it's a really great creative outlet, but it also is one time I'm just completely focused on a thing. And I just find even if I come away without taking any photos, I feel like it's been a good day if I've had my camera and just sort of stopped and looked at people and not worried about my phone or what other people are doing in their daily life. It's just me solely focused on that. And yeah, it's been a big help for me, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. How quickly does the time go as well?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It flies by when you're in that zone. That's it. It's like, oh my God, well, maybe it's been an hour, and you look down, it's like, oh my God, it's 3 hours have gone by.
Yeah.
How did that go? So yeah, but the thing is, like I've said this many times, I've not met a photographer that's been negative. I haven't met a negative one yet. I haven't met anybody who's been down, anybody that doesn't, give their time or support. So yeah, yes, perfect. Yeah, brilliant. So this is the hardest bit. Your favorite 3 photos?
This one is difficult. So I think the first one I have actually pinned at the top of my Instagram profile, and it's actually, you wouldn't notice from the photo, but it's actually a photo of my wife. She's walking up some train station stairs, and it really is a good example of, I think, my style of photography and what I look for in a photo. So it's I can't remember what station it was. I think it's in Croydon, and the train station stairs. So there's red telling you not to go up one side of all of the stairs, and there's green telling you to go up that side of the stairs. So there's loads of like contrasting color, which is really cool. And the light is coming in via sort of perspex on either side. And so there's a really great directional side light, which again, just adds the contrast and adds the saturation. And then my wife is sort of at the very top of the stairs, and it's just the bottom half of her legs. So she's walking out of frame. And I think that's very much what I tend to look for. I try to obscure people so that you're sort of asking the viewer to imagine the rest of the image, or imagine where they're going. I think that's probably, the best distillation of sort of what I'm looking for in a photo, I think. And then the second one I was trying to think of is, so I have a zine called the Soho Cigarette Break, where basically anytime I was in Soho, I noticed there's lots of people who work in all the restaurants and bars who go out for their cigarette breaks in little alleyways, and they're in like doorways and they're hidden, but they're like sort of lit by spotlights, and they all, again, obscured, and they look great. But as I was walking down one road, I noticed a hand just popped out of a little shop window, and it had a cigarette in it, and he was having a cigarette break. But I was lucky enough just to take a photo of literally just the hand, the cigarette, and the light that was coming from the shop backlit all the smoke. And so again, it's just one of those sort of, you don't need to see the rest of the person, but you're interested to find out more about them. And I think, that's probably my favorite photo. I think that one there, just because it is so, I just love how little you can see of someone, but the viewer wants to know more. And I think the third photo, again, following the theme of obscuring people, but this time with shadow. There's a photo I've got where I was in Camden Market one day, and Camden Market, again, a bit like San Sebastian, it's all like blocks. So you get these great alleyways. And when the light is towards sunset, I think it sort of beams all the way down the alleys, but it means that the alleyways are lit with the sun, but the shops are completely dark because the contrast is so high. And I've got a photo where there's a woman, she's going into one of the stalls in Camden, but I shot it at the time just as she's got a camel coloured coat on, and all you can see is her coat and her hair as she sort of goes into the shadows. And I think trying to hide people in shadow is very much something that I try to do, as much high contrast as possible. I think I tend to look for, and sort of having people either coming out of a shadow or going into a shadow and obscuring people that way. I think, just there's something about that aesthetic.
Yeah. I mean, it creates a scene, it creates a story, doesn't it? And an unknown story as well, because you don't know what's going on, why.
Absolutely. I think my favourite films are the ones where they're sort of left a bit ambiguous, because it's then up to the viewer to work out what the director meant by that. And I think that's, again, what I look for in photography. It's more trying to leave something untold, just to leave something for the viewer to sort of work on.
And the thing was with markets as well, they're very clever, the people who design markets over the years, because, at certain times there's incredible light coming through. You think Covent Garden, just think in London alone, you've got Covent Garden, you've got Camden, you've got Leadenhall, it goes on and on and on. And when you go around the world, like Berlin, or you go to Seville or Valencia or somewhere like that, and every time, they always have glass, and they always have these incredible shards of light. So I love markets. And if I don't know a city or a town, that's it, bang, straight into a market first. And right. Well, talking about advice, what advice would you give to a new photographer?
I think I sort of already mentioned about how great the street photography community is, and I think my main bit of advice for somebody starting is to reach out to people and say hi, because I think, as you said, everybody's so friendly and willing to help that if you want any advice, ask someone who's done it before, and they'll tell you what their experience is. I think going out on photo walks with people, which again is something I've done way more by just like DM some people on Instagram, and then, I'm on a photo walk with someone I didn't know last week, and now I'm sort of seeing how they take photos. And I think it's incredible every time I go out and shoot with other people. We'll all be in the same place, but we'll all come away from the same scene with a completely different take on that scene. And it might not be how I shoot it, but seeing how somebody else shoots it, or even what they're looking for, just means I'll come away with some different way of looking at a thing, or different sort of technique to try. And I think, the people behind street photography keeps me wanting to do street photography. So I think, for people who are new, I think as much as possible try and become part of that community, because it is really open and it's really friendly. And I think that it's a good mine for advice as well. If you've got questions, somebody else has done it before and they've got some advice to share. So definitely reach out and say hi to people. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I've been with people and then all of a sudden they've leapt on a bin, or they've climbed up a street light. And it's like, whoa, I see, you've got to think outside the box. It's like, but climbing up a street light and then hanging off the where you push the button and stuff, it's just like, oh, okay, fine, and that's the cut. Like I say, it's just people just got so many different ideas, so many clever ways of looking at things you never think yourself, and then hopefully it's the same for you. You can give that knowledge over as well. So perfect advice. So what have you got coming up? What's next photography wise, goals and going forward? So I'm actually giving a talk on night photography at a photo club this month, and then that's the end of the month, and then they're coming to London. I think it's Bridport Photo Community. It's a lovely part of the world. It's totally. And so I'm going there to give a talk, and then they're going to come to London, and I'm going to run like a photo workshop and a walk around London at night, just to sort of show them what I'm looking for when I'm out at night taking photos. And I really hope I'd love to do more photo walks and sort of workshops and things. So fingers crossed that'll be the start, and to show me that I can do them and that people are interested and I've got something to share. So hopefully I'll do more of them. And the other thing I've been thinking about recently, and I've been in touch with a couple of communities in the local area, is, I touched on it a bit, is sort of the mindfulness of photography has really helped me, I think, as a creative outlet, but also as a way of just switching off from the world. And so I've been speaking to a couple of local charities and a couple of communities of like starting like basics of photography workshops, just to get more people into photography and to show that it's not just about taking amazing photos, it's about the community behind it and meeting other people and switching off from the world and not worrying about sort of your troubles, and just having a time for yourself and a creative outlet. So hopefully I'll be able to sort of get more people into photography and sort of to share the knowledge that I've had over the years. So that's something I'm really interested in at the moment. Hopefully we'll start soon. Yeah, brilliant. And the thing is as well, you only need a phone.
You don't need, or
Absolutely.
you know, a simple camera. You don't need anything expensive. You just, you know, it's just getting somebody to look at the world a different way, and then obviously, you know, get in the habit of you know, taking shots.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the gear is definitely should not be something that holds you back. It's more the intention. I'm going to go out to take photos, and I'm going to give myself to that for this hour, half an hour, whatever the time is, and you just focus on that, and then you'll get benefits from that, definitely.
Yeah, well, thanks for being my guest. I really appreciate it. You know, finally nailed you down, and I'm glad we met. You know, we met there once and gone out shooting.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been nice just to sort of think about what I look for in photos, and definitely when you're in London, we should definitely do some more photo walks, because, like I said, I think that's when I'm in my happy place. So
yeah, definitely. I'll definitely get a walk together for November or December, just depending when. But yeah, we definitely make
absolutely.
it.
I'll be there.
Glad you were here, and I'm glad you you know, thanks for taking part.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Rob. It was great. Appreciate it.